He would do a lot of foul shit. Like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it.
The decision was made earlier. The courtroom's lights went down and the media hysteria began to shift elsewhere. It's possible that Diddy thought the chaos had temporarily stopped, allowing him to finally take a breath. But just when stillness seemed to be drawing in, 50 Cent made a reappearance. This time, the fire was sparked by a video instead of court filings or news releases.
It should start looking gray if you ain't got nothing on it.
Got the new baby oil, bro.
This ain't baby oil.
Nigga, you ran through 8,000 jars of them in prison.
He was Ashy Larry.
Relax. I still got everybody looking.
50 Cent is returning to the spotlight, making fun of Sean. Diddy Combs using an artificial intelligence-generated video. This time, the video has Diddy disguised as a figure from Baby Oil. The article mentions the baby oil that was seized from Diddy's homes during his legal troubles. But that's only 50 Cent's latest comment.
Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words. 50 Cent's name came up during the testimony this week of Capricorn Clark. She is a former assistant of Sean Combs who went on to become the head of marketing for his Sean John clothing brand. Clark rose successfully and professionally through the ranks of Diddy's world during her time working for him, which stretched between 2004 to 2018, so she saw a lot. Clark claimed that Diddy would threaten her, and she says he even kidnapped her in 2011. All of this matters as we build up to how 50 Cent kind of factors into what she said on the stand. Now, Capricorn Clark started working for Bad Boy.
It wasn't just any video. It was an odd and stinging sight deliberately designed to be as dehumanizing as possible. An AI-powered innovation that became viral online very fast. Fundamentally, Diddy was not the real Diddy, but rather an eerily lifelike digital doppelganger. He was promoting a fake baby oil brand while dancing extravagantly without a shirt and with baby oil all over his body. Similar to an absurd Super Bowl commercial. Completely out of control. Behind him, towers of bottles gleamed in derisive spotlights. The aftermath of that infamous raid was transformed into a macabre comedy as the tumult was recounted in a deep-faked voice that was eerily similar to his. Oh, and the timing was awful. Although 50 Cent's scorched earth parody transformed relief into yet another humiliating tempest, Diddy thought the verdict would help him restore his name.
That's surprising, since Death Row was ran by perhaps Diddy's most hated enemy, Suge Knight. Clark said that one of her good friends had a baby with Suge Knight, and that's how she knew him. And in perhaps the most shocking story from her testimony, Clark claimed that shortly after she started working for Diddy, Diddy and his security guards took her to Central Park after dark, and Diddy said, quote, "He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me." It is an allegation that paints Combs as someone who is ready to take a life. But as Capricorn Clark's testimony continued, she brought up another rival of Sean Diddy Combs and another allegation that he made an ominous threat of violence. Clark testified, when working for Diddy, they went to a press event at MTV and 50 Cent was there. And just wait until you hear what she says Diddy told 50's manager. 50 Cent's real name is Curtis Jackson. He rose to fame in the early 2000s. You might remember songs like In the Club. You might remember that he was the leader of the rap group G Unit. Now, 50 grew up in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Diddy, also a New York native. He was born in Harlem, grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, just about 20 miles away. And even though they both had success in music, they both rose to fame representing the city of New York and the rap scene there, they have been longtime rivals. In 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about Diddy. So almost 20 years ago. This goes back a long way. And in that diss track, he says, quote, "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get 'em. They gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that expletive. Man, that expletive soft." Now 50 is accusing Combs there of knowing who killed his friend, the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Wallace and Puffy were incredibly close, but Wallace was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles in 1997, and no one has ever been charged for pulling the trigger. This all happened during really the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry of the 90s, which involved Suge Knight, who we mentioned earlier. 50 Cent has also accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by brother love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and Brother Love is one of those other names. Now from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to
With the precision of a strike, the release landed. Just one caption, no lengthy tirade or excessive explanation. If you have 1,000 bottles of baby oil, make sure your ego is properly hydrated. After only one line, the internet went crazy. Within hours of the AI clip gaining millions of views, it dominated every feed. It did not only trend, it dominated. The number of reaction videos on YouTube was overwhelming. Memes spread like wildfire. Among the constant stream of TikTok remixes, fans looked for hidden jokes. This wasn't just a joke. The raid was a deep wound since everyone still remembered it. The world had seen the images that went viral, which depicted a room crammed with baby oil boxes, looking like a weird warehouse scene. Currently, the memes were erratic, and then there was anxiety. Silent. Months later, though, 50 Cent Drive pushed everything back into the spotlight with one devastating digital punch. Did he too? The effects were felt right away. Insiders said that as soon as he saw a laptop, he broke it and destroyed it. Others claimed that he became angry and abruptly departed a meeting mid-sentence. It was too late, but his team hurried to take control of the story. The video had become indestructible online. TikTokers were reenacting the skit. Celebrities shared the joke along with their own remarks, and even large organizations started to profit from it. There was no stopping the cultural wave. 50 Cent employed satire not just to irritate, but also as a weapon.
On Monday, also in New York, making an appearance on the Drew Barrymore Show.
What are you looking for? And do you know what you're looking for?
Yep, well, just real friendship.
Friendship, but not with Diddy.
You ain't a friend of mine. You ain't no kin of mine.
50 posting a sweet picture of him and Drew on Instagram, but the caption tells a different story.
I have a lot of fun.
Here I am keeping good company with the Drew Barrymore Show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house.
I'm not panicking. They are.
50 referring to the over 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil found when the feds raided Diddy's home in March. One of many details revealed in his now unsealed indictment, which laid out the charges for his arrest.
I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
While Curtis gave his 2 cents on the situation,
People love tragedy. You know, more than they love good news, no matter how you look at it.
Diddy's attorney, who maintains the rapper's innocence, tended to a media frenzy Tuesday morning.
I expect we're going to have an arraignment at some point later today.
This office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful.
Unable to resist, baby oil brands capitalized on the viral sensation by inserting smart illusions into their marketing. Unavoidably and relentlessly, the derision had spread around the world. But underneath the laughter was a burden. It wasn't just a meme either. It acted as a prompt. Diddy had narrowly avoided the worst possible legal consequences. But the spoof made everyone confront the disturbing truth. The raid, the odd facts, and the rumors are still unresolved. 50 Cent wasn't merely joking. He was reinventing the conversation, so the world had to look again. The sequel was a simple movie with 50 individuals laughing nonstop for 30 seconds and then smiling. The video itself isn't even included here. Wait and see what happens next. It was not merely a joke. It was a warning shot. There was a terrible undertone. He was watching, he had more in the vault. And he wouldn't give up until Diddy's image collapsed. Industry insiders quickly called it a PR disaster. A well-written press release, PR campaign, or interview could not erase the taint the AI extravaganza left behind. The pictures were part of the culture. Diddy's closest allies began to turn against him. The invitations vanished. Silently, deals were canceled. His name had become a radioactive material in boardrooms and studios alike. Because when 50 Cent makes fun of you and the entire internet joins in, it stops being entertaining. It becomes lethal. There were no crimes depicted in the AI spoof. There was no depiction of violence. In many ways, however, it struck harder. It destroyed the aura of power Diddy had used to build his empire, making him a laughingstock, a meme, and a laughing target. And beneath every laugh, folks kept going back to one recurring question. Why so much baby oil? Why had it been kept hidden? What led to the discovery of the details during a raid? If that was real, what else hasn't come to light yet? The worry the AI film arouses was brutally real despite the fact that it was a fake. 50 Cent knew that very well. By employing satire as a weapon to demolish an image, Diddy had turned humor into warfare while his staff frantically flagged, reported, and tried to bury a video that the world had already determined to be inviolable digital folklore.
When he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have
see
a
it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see
Y'all can't
it,
see
man.
that he loves me?
But see,
You really, hold on, you really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case. 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, after the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator. Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns. The prosecutor then asked, what's the issue with an individual? And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some, but apparently not 50 Cent. On Instagram, 50 posted right after his name came up in the courtroom, quote, cut, wait a minute. Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe, with a picture that looked like an AI image of 50 Cent on a movie set looking serious. And he wasn't done. Shortly after that, he posted another AI image on Instagram of him in a Yankees hat with a very scared look on his face with the caption, oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. I have to lay low. Sad face emoji. I think I'm gonna hide out at the playoff game tonight, LOL. Then the next day he posted what he did that night. He went to the NBA playoff game between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in Indiana, and you can see him here in a picture on the floor in a shirt that reads, quote, "Free Diddy," playing into the trolling that 50 Cent has done to Sean Combs over the years, even before Combs was ever accused of what he is on trial for. Now, Combs' trial is expected to...
The more Diddy's camp attempted to bury it, the bigger it got. Each takedown notice backfired, and curiosity gave way to obsession. 50 Cent knew. It was an exaggerated version of the Streisand effect. He didn't protest, didn't make any pronouncements, and didn't explain. He only included fire emojis in the comments, and the internet took over the rest. He didn't need a judge or a jury. He didn't need an affidavit or sworn testimony. He had culture, and culture was louder than any courtroom. Diddy's only defeat on this new battlefield had consistently kept his image under control. A single viral caricature had turned his legacy into a meme. No longer the untouchable magnate, he was now the baby oil person, a joke connected to his own company and a digital caricature. Even worse, this was only the beginning. 50 made it clear that he was far from done. More clips. We're waiting for them, more jokes are available. Each one is sharper, funnier, and more deadly than the last. Did he too? He was unprotected. You can't utilize laughter. It is impossible to quiet a meme. When the internet begins mocking you, it's already over. Then 50 people twisted the knife. He capitalized on the satire. Club limited edition t-shirts with 100 bottles. AI-generated hoodies with the Diddy picture. Coffee mugs with the advertisement, "Stay greased." Within a few hours, they were completely sold out. Influencers who wore them live on camera turned sarcasm into fashion. The digital humiliation had transformed into a real one. It wasn't just a joke anymore. It was a movement and profitable. In the meantime, Diddy's attorneys hurried. They sent out cease and desist letters. There were allegations of defamation. Lawsuit threats surfaced. But instead of slowing the storm down, they poured gasoline on it. Every legal threat garnered media attention. Every response attempt just helped the meme gain traction. The cultural choice that had already been taken could not be overturned by a court decision.
Like those, so it gives the jury less options to find him guilty of racketeering. It gives the prosecution less options to argue when it comes to a closing argument. And by the way, it goes back to a question we got earlier today during the lunch show. Somebody had said, how come the jury just doesn't get the jury instructions at the beginning of the case as opposed to the end of the case? Well, let's see what's presented. Let's see what's actually shown during the course of the trial. There might be insufficient evidence to actually move forward with some of these charges or some of these elements. So it's interesting. Now, what about sex trafficking? What were the arguments that the defense made for why the sex trafficking should be thrown out? And by the way, let me just say this. For the prosecution's point of view, they are arguing that Jane and Cassie were victims of sex trafficking, that Combs used force, fraud, or coercion to induce them to engage in sex acts with male commercial sex workers. Something of value was exchanged. There is a transportation element to it as well. What did they say? What did they argue for why this should be thrown out?
Well, everyone has to remember that Sean Combs is charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking, count 2 and then count 4. Count 2 kind of involving alleged victim number 1, that being Cassie Ventura, and then count 4 involving alleged victim number 2, that being Jane Doe. So in terms of their arguments for count 2 specifically, Alexandra Shapiro said, the key element here is what Sean Combs knew, and that they allege that Cassie didn't really communicate her reluctance to doing these freak-offs or hotel nights, as they were later called, that under count 2, the defense says that the relationship was toxic for many reasons, something that they've been kind of talking to all the way dating back to the pre-trial stuff. And the defense also kind of pointing out, they acknowledge that Sean Combs was, according to Alexandra Shapiro, she used the words regrettably violent. And so it's something that the defense acknowledged throughout the course of this trial, going all the way back to openings where they, they say that Sean Combs, and they admit he was violent with his girlfriends, and in this case, Cassie. And the defense says domestic violence is not evidence of sex trafficking, something that that I think a lot of people who have been following this case on social media, some people think this way. But in terms of count 4, in relation to alleged victim number 2, that being Jane, the defense says that the evidence is insufficient and that Mr. Combs couldn't have known that Jane didn't want to participate in these hotel nights. Alexandra Shapiro said the evidence showed that Jane was willing to participate. Again, going back.
When it detected weakness, the internet jumped in. News outlets couldn't ignore the firestorm. It evolved into late-night comedians' monologues. Sketches were produced by comedy networks. It began as a meme but has now become widely accepted and evolved into a thorough case study of pop culture on how to damage someone's reputation. 50 Cent was also relentless. He began playing back old footage of awkward interviews, shady soundbites, and scenarios that had been dismissed but were now seen in a more sinister light. As the relevance of each rehashed video increased in the shadow of the scandal, Diddy's entire background seemed suspicious. Then came the podcast tour. 50 showed up everywhere, talking to visitors, making up stories, and leaving cryptic clues. Like, I've been told y'all just didn't want to listen. Furthermore, every interview ended in the same way, like clockwork. 50 looking at the camera with a cheeky smile. Await the sequel. It was a mental struggle. He didn't need to make the accusation outright. All he did was push. The internet took care of the rest, editing remixes, generating fan theories, and making the connections. The lines were blurry until perception became reality. Not because anyone had proof, but because the feeling was undeniable. Furthermore, emotions always win out over facts in today's society. Meanwhile, Diddy's quiet grew intolerable. He vanished from the world, media, no responses, no words, no appearances, not as a strategy, but as a way to live. Every picture had the potential to become a meme. Every phrase was vulnerable to being chopped, distorted, and weaponized. His kingdom began to disintegrate. Brand partnerships disbanded. The tour negotiations collapsed. Silently, appointed appearances disappeared. Even his closest allies started to turn against him. There was no one who wanted to lose in a meme war. And at 50, he saw it all fall apart with smug accuracy. Everyone was taken aback by one post in particular. A bottle of baby oil bearing the inscription, King of Slick. The image turned the mockery into a legend with over 5 million likes. The subtext was unmistakable. This was not a case of legal justice. It was not a matter of revenge. It was about owning the story and assuming command of the narrative. It had been fully seized by 50 Cent. Diddy may not have received the harshest penalties when he left court, but he was going through the worst setback of his career in the online